Steins Gate is one of those anime that has a pretty rotten start. I would even go as far as to say that most people drop it within the first 10 episodes because of how slow and seemingly pointless the buildup is. But if you push through, you will eventually get to some of the best payoff in anime history. So today we're going to look at why Gate's start is so bad, but also so genius. Let's talk about why Steins Gate is actually boring. In the first 10 episodes, there are no immediate stakes. There's a brief glimpse of what appears to be a dire future in the first scene. But this quickly gets brushed aside and forgotten about. Instead, we have 9 more episodes of Okabe and his friends messing around with the microwave, going to the NyanNyan maid café, and just generally having fun while saving the world from a vague threat that'll probably become relevant later. This misdirection continues throughout. For example, the first introduction of Mayuri feels like a normal slice of life character until her stomach is ripped open by an unknown assailant 6 episodes later. Similarly, scenes of Okabe writing down cryptic messages and throwing paper airplanes feel inconsequential until you learn their true meaning much later. In addition to all this, Steins Gate is very much a character over plot story. And when it comes to these characters, the series likes to really drag its feet. We spend a lot of time with Okabe and his chuunibyou antics. While he is funny, there is only so many times you can watch him read Hououin Kyouma quotes before it starts to get a little tiring. Not to mention all the fan-servicey shots of Mocha in the shower. Sorry, but I'm not interested in watching 80-year-old girls take off their clothes. Likewise, the threat of SERN, the overarching villain of the story, looms large in the background. However, they aren't really a clear and present danger just yet. They're more of an inconvenience than anything. Okabe receives threatening texts and phone calls, but nothing too over the top. So it's easy to just ignore them. As a first-time viewer, this can be frustrating because you know something big is coming, but you have no idea when. Because of this, a lot of viewers just give up. They want to see time travel craziness, and instead they restuck listening to a bunch of high schoolers debate whether or not tuna and mayonnaise go well together. But here's why Steins Gate's start is actually genius. Looking back at the first 10 episodes now, specifically episode 12, you realize just how much foreshadowing there was. Ruka taking Daru to visit her shrine wasn't just a cute hangout, it was an important character moment for both of them. Mocha sending cryptic text messages wasn't fan service. It was her trying to communicate with Okabe without drawing attention to herself. All the stuff that seemed pointless in the moment becomes crucial later. This turns that initial investment of time into a kind of emotional currency that pays off in a big way later. Speaking of which, let's talk about the payoff. Once the story starts moving in Steins Gate, it does not stop. In fact, the final 6 episodes of the show are among the most insane and brutal anime has ever seen. You get to that point because you've spent so much time with these characters. Okabe, Mayuri, Itaru, Muka, Kurisu. You've grown to care about them and their relationships. So when terrible things happen to them, it hits hard. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is tone whiplash. Usually, when a story starts out goofy and lighthearted, it doesn't have the best reputation for having a sudden tonal shift midway through. However, I think Steins Gate pulls it off masterfully because the first half is so ridiculous and over the top the second half is able to be equally ridiculous and over the top. If the show had started off with a dark and gritty tone, it wouldn't have been able to commit to the same level of insanity later on. So my question for you is, could Steins' gate have been faster? I personally think episodes 1 to 6 could have been condensed into 2, maybe 3 episodes. That way we could have gotten to the meat of the story sooner. Also, the first scene of the show is one of the most gripping anime has ever seen. Future Okabe screaming in a dark alley while being chased by mysterious figures is immediately intriguing. And the rest of the show doesn't really match that energy. So if there was any way to make the rest of the first arc feel more like that first scene, I think it would have been better. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.